Our next presenter is Ms. Caitlin Kaufman, and she's from Diamond Accelerator, and she will be presenting Train My Practice Manager. Let's please welcome her in.
Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. All right, who do we have in this room? Raise your hand if you are a dedicated practice manager. Okay. Raise your hand if you wear multiple hats. Practice manager, business owner, and or provider. Okay, so we're about half and half. Awesome. So, are you tired of putting out daily fires? Not hitting your revenue targets, right? Are you tired of what feels like when you ask of your team, it falls on deaf ears? You repeat yourself over and over again. I get it. It's tough. It's difficult. It's messy. Are you filled with anxiety and stress and overwhelm, right? And that's not why you do this. What if I told you there could be a different way, right? A different way to extinguish those daily fires, replicate the results of your top performers, right? And consistently hit your growth and revenue goals. What would that do for you? What would that do for you professionally? What would that do for you personally? I've asked that question many times over the years to med spas. And some of the answers that I get would be, well, I'd pay myself. I'd actually or give myself a raise, right? I wouldn't wake up in a panic. I'd open a second location. I'd buy that new device. I'd hire an injector. Or how about this? I'd be more present with my family. I wouldn't work 7 days a week. Anyone have that mom guilt, right? I feel guilty when I'm working and not with my family, but I feel guilty when I'm with my family and I'm not working on my business, right? I'm sure a lot of you in this room have felt this way. All right, so whether you're a dedicated practice manager or you wear that hat in addition to business owner and or provider, today I'm going to be sharing with you the critical systems that you need in your business to replicate the results of your top performers, to consistently hit your growth and revenue goals, right, and extinguish those daily fires. A little bit about me. So I am the owner and founder of Diamond Accelerator, and we are a digital marketing, coaching, and consulting agency exclusively for medical aesthetic practice owners. And I've been deep into the med spa industry for well over a decade. And if you've ever worked with me, you know how passionate I am about getting real results for my clients. Not just leads, clicks, followers, views, those warm and fuzzy metrics, but real results, right? More patients, more revenue, so that you can create the lifestyle you desire. Now, I got 4 boys. I got a 13, 11, a 9, and 7-year-old boy. So I'm all about working smarter, not harder, and removing stress and drama. So tell me, this picture, does it represent how you feel some days, right? Right? That no matter how hard you try, right, it's just a daily fire that you have to put out. I don't understand why my team isn't getting it or we're not hitting our numbers. But it doesn't have to be that way. I'm going to show you a different way so that you can consistently hit your growth and revenue numbers, that you can enjoy going to work, that you can potentially take a vacation, right? So no one ever taught you, right, go to college to be a med spa owner, to be a practice manager. There's no college for it, right? It can be messy, it can be filled with anxiety, right? But it doesn't have to be that way. So when I, over my decade in the med spa industry, talk to medical aesthetic practice owners, the most successful ones out there, the common thing that they all have in common is that they are systems driven. Systems driven, okay? So let's break that. Why systems? Why I love systems. So systems ensure that the levers in your business operate as expected so that your business can perform as expected. A system is going to produce greater efficiency, productivity, clarity for your team and for you, control as well, okay? Systems is going to allow you to extinguish those fires, replicate the results of your top performer, your growth and revenue goals. I want you to leverage systems in all aspects of your business. Okay, these are the 7 core pillars that are essential and should be prioritized in your business. Oop. Okay. So within these 7 core pillars, you are going to create those systems within. And let's break down what a system is, okay? So a system is 4 elements: input, process, output, and feedback, all right? And remember, a system is going, once you develop your system, it's going to result in greater consistency, productivity, efficiency, clarity, and control, right? So when you're setting your benchmarks, you're forecasting, when you're setting goals for your team, you're setting your team up for success and you're setting yourself up for success. So I want you to systematize everything. Could you get me some water, please? Overwhelming. So I want to break it down into 3 phases. So the first phase is you're going to break down your house. Okay? This is called development and structure. You want to break down your house, and you're going to, you're going to develop a system within each of these elements here. Okay, organizational structure. You need to build a hierarchy, right? You need to have department leads. And within that, you have to document the role and responsibility of each team member, okay? Who reports to who, okay? What is your communication within your team? And make sure that everyone follows it. I'm a big fan of Loom videos, Boxer, WhatsApp app, right? Texting, of course. But what is your communication? One of my pet peeves is like email or keyboard warriors, right? I encourage you not to be a leader that thinks that if they send an email to their team that they're just gonna get it, right? So you've got to create a system around your communication and your implementation. Patient journey. This is a big one. So I encourage you to map out from the very first impression that a lead or a follower or a potential patient, what their first impression is, right? Which is likely online, on social media or on your website, all the way to 2 weeks post their appointment. And everything in between, from when they schedule their appointment, right? What is the communication that they're getting prior to showing up? How are they welcomed? What does their new patient consult look like? What is the scripted consultation process? So everyone at MV Med Spa does consultations the same exact way. Everyone should be doing consultations the same exact way. I talk about McDonald's and how I love that whether I'm getting French fries in Boise, Idaho, where I live, or French fries in Dallas, Texas, I know that they're going to taste the same way, right? The end result is the same because they've systemized every element of their business. And that's why they were, that their scalability is massive, right? That's why they have great efficiency, productivity, clarity, and control with their team because they systemize everything. Performance plans, okay? Not just giving them a performance plan of you do this, you get X, right? But reverse engineering and teaching them how they're going to achieve their goal. And that's a big step that I see managers and practice owners miss, right? They just expect their team to know how to do it, to get it done. And then when their team member consistently doesn't hit their goal, they're frustrated. They just don't understand why they can't do it, right? And they say, well, go hunt for your food, right? Go post on social media, right? But they're not giving them a detailed plan of how you are going to hit your growth or your revenue number every single month. You got to reverse engineer and show them a pathway in order to hit that number. Okay, so don't just dangle a carrot, right? Teach them how to fish. Teach them how to fish. There's got to be consequences, right? And I'm not like going straight to firing or, well, how do I put an adult in timeout? No, that's not what I'm saying. So consequences is performance improvement plans, right? If you are not hitting your numbers, if you're not completing the daily tasks that are required and the role and responsibility that are clearly outlined, there's got to be consequences, okay? And those consequences can come in forms of, taking away hours and giving those to someone that follows their roles and responsibilities. But first, I like to train before being punitive, right? So I would sit down with a team member and ask them if there was something that I was unaware of that is preventing them from fulfilling their role and responsibility, that's preventing them from hitting their numbers, right? In the magazine for the conference, I had an article about the A word that gets me into trouble sometimes. And if you're a leader in here, it's likely that that A word's got you in trouble as well. What is it that's preventing you from being the amazing provider that I know that you can be and to hit your growth and revenue goals, right? Because I want you to hit your bonus, right? And then if there isn't something personal happening, right, then we need to train. We got to train. So you've allowed feedback, and then you're going to then give them feedback and training on the other side. Okay, phase number 2 is you're gonna build it back up. Now, this is where things get interesting because not everyone can handle change. So this is where there potentially could be some bumps in the road, some team members that frankly are just not gonna cut it with you. But this is where you really gotta push through. You've got to power through to get to the other side to get that end result that you're looking for. Because remember, our goal here is to extinguish daily fires, replicate the top results of our performers, our A team, right? And to consistently hit our growth and revenue goals. And sometimes the team members that we start with aren't the team members that are going to go with us on our journey. And that's okay, right? So in phase number 2, you got to stay strong. You got to power through the bumps in the road that's going to happen here. And don't allow the pushback from people that are afraid of change, that are afraid of growth, that they're the law of the ceiling, right? The law of the lid, right? Some people just aren't on that journey with you, and that's okay. Phase number 3. This is where you're ready for growth, for scalability. This is where you're going to share the experience, okay? This is where you have internal and external marketing efforts that you can consistently and predictably get new patients in the door. And your team is prepared for it. I oftentimes get people coming to me as, I just need more patients. I just need more patients and all of my problems will go away. But in reality, many of you here today have all of the patients that you need. You just need to squeeze more juice out of them. You just need to have tighter processes, better consultation processes, better follow-up, so that you increase the average revenue per hour in your rebooking rates. Imagine if every single one of your clients did one additional appointment a year and spent an extra $100 or $200 at their appointment, right? That's one extra product. That's 10 extra units of Botox, right? That's adding on a mask. It's the smallest increments that is going to easily get you that 10% growth, annual growth, right? That 20% growth that you are looking for. By working better, working smarter, not harder, with the patients that you have. It's really temperamental, sorry about that. Right? Recruiting, hiring, and onboarding. Who here has been like, oh, it's so hard to find an injector? Come on, be honest, right? It's so hard to find an injector. Well, I believe that it's great to be able to buy an experienced director. But I actually think, and I know this to be true, that you can actually make good injectors as well. But you have to have a system in place to develop and nurture them and show them a pathway and incentivize them to not only do the work, right, get the experience, get trained, get grow, but you have to invest in them, right? And I know it's scary because who's been burned by investing someone and then they leave you? Yeah, that stinks. I get that. However, and like you were talking about in your last presentation, when it's a win-win for the employee, the business owner, you treat them right? You show, you invest in their growth, you compensate them well, you have a great culture, they're gonna stick with you. And so there's systems in place that you can create for your recruiting, for your hiring, for your onboarding, right? And when you do that, no longer are you held hostage, right? It's the worst to be held hostage by an injector that's responsible for a large portion of your revenue, right? And if she gets sick, if she goes on vacation, God forbid she leaves you, boy, are you in trouble, right? And so we need to look at our compensation plans and make sure that it's a win-win for everyone, right? So that they're not tempted to go out on their own or to go to the competition. So you really got to take a look at that full compensation plan, and you need to invest in their growth. More often than not, people don't leave you about money, but they leave you because they don't see a path for their future. Okay? So it's not always just about the money. Okay, so let's recap the 3 phases. You're gonna break down your house, build it back up, and you're gonna share the paying myself, all my money is going to my injector. And they just want to skip right to it. And what happens when you skip the basics, the foundation, the bones of your business, which is that first column, and break down the house. What happens is when you're trying to implement phase 2 and phase 3 in your business, you're wondering why it doesn't work. And they come back to me, I'm still not hitting my numbers. My team still isn't getting it. So when we want a better answer, we ask a better question. And we look deeper at your process, right? At your system. And remember, a system, okay? You want to make sure that you have your input, your process, your output, and your feedback. And time again, it's process and feedback. You didn't break it down enough in the process, and you're not allowing your team to provide feedback. Maybe they have, when you're launching a new system, maybe they have some ideas for you on how to fine tune it. You need to be open to receiving that. Or maybe it really is just a poor excuse. Their feedback is a poor excuse of why they're not getting the job done, and you need to coach them through that, right? But feedback and process, those are the two things that make your systems fail, okay? If you don't do the work in each of these phases, that they build on one another, okay? So you're gonna fall short if you try to fast track. I see it time and time again. So save yourself the time, the energy, the heartache, the confusion, the money, and do the work now. Build the foundation so that you can extinguish those daily fires, so you can replicate the results of your top performers. It's awful having the A team and the C team, right? Elevate everyone. Elevate everyone, and it's absolutely possible with systems. All right. So you're going to look at that list right now, and you're going to be like, I got that. I got that. But what I encourage you to do is really take a look at that system in your business. And is it serving you? Is it serving your team? Have you done everything possible to set them up for success? And when I first engaged with a lot of clients, a lot of them were like, just tell me, just give it to me, tell me who I should fire on my team. And this is what I always say. I would never come in and tell you that you should fire someone on your team. I always first look to the leader, look to the owner, and look at your system to see if you've done everything possible to set your team up for success. It is 100% your responsibility to provide a clear pathway for your team to succeed. And after that point, if they're still not getting it, then absolutely, they're not a good fit, right? But before you ever choose to fire someone, I really think that it is your professional responsibility and just the right thing to do. To ask yourself, have I done everything possible to set this person up for success? I do this on my own team as well, and every single time I'm able to find something, right, that I could have caught sooner, something that I could have provided for them sooner than later, right? And then I do it, I fix it. And then at the end of the day, if they're still not getting it, if they're still not a good fit, then I lose no sleep in the unfortunate event that I need to let someone go. Who here just hates firing someone? Guilty, right? It's awful. But I will tell you, you'll feel way, way, way less guilt. It'll be way less painful if you can, with confidence, know that you've done everything possible to set that person up for success, and they just still didn't get the job done. Work, but it doesn't have to be messy. It doesn't have to be filled with anxiety and overwhelm. And if you think that you can't afford to hire a dedicated practice manager, I urge you to think again. In fact, I would tell you that you can't afford not to. You can't afford not to have a dedicated practice manager, because they really could be responsible for millions of dollars a year in revenue. The right practice manager, a trained practice manager, can help you replicate the results of your top performers. Extinguish those daily fires that's holding you back from hitting your growth and revenue goals. Okay? But you have to invest in your leadership. You have to invest in their training. If you don't, you're likely going to be an overworked employee in your own enterprise. All right. So if you are an owner and you're given the keys to the kingdom to a practice manager, your job is not done. It is not a set it and forget it, oh, I'm good, they're good, right? They're on their own island. In fact, I would tell you that they need more support than you probably would even realize, in ways that you don't even realize. So it's really important that you provide consistent one-on-one training or one-on-one meetings, both tactical and performance-based, because we all need consistent feedback and reinforcement for our job, okay? So make sure that you're doing consistent one-on-one meetings. When you're asked to show up for a meeting, you've got to show up. You have to be in 100% partnership with your practice manager. You can't allow your employees to pit mom against dad. Okay, you have to have their back 100%. You can't allow your team to come to you and complain about your manager. It creates toxicity, right? You have to have the back and in full partnership. All right. Thank you so much for giving me your time today. I hope you found this information valuable. I hope you see what's possible when you have a self-led business, okay? And how you can extinguish those daily fires, replicate the results of your top performers, okay? And consistently hit your growth and revenue goals. I wanted to provide some additional value for you today. So when you access this QR code, I have 4 additional bonuses that I hope will help fast track you into taking action and developing a systems-driven business. So one is an aesthetic practice manager job description. And that job description, right? So if you're like, okay, I'm ready to hire a practice manager, this will help you with that job description. It'll also help you define clear roles and responsibilities, right? Another thing is I have a KPI bonus tracker that's going to help build the foundations to building your compensation plan. One of my favorites is 7 steps to delivering a 5-star consultation. I give you 80% of a scripted framework for your consultations, and you just fine-tune that last little bit based on your patient journey. That's going to increase your close rate, your average revenue per hour, and your rebooking rate. So make sure that you really look at that one. And then finally, when you're ready to share the experience, MedSpa Sales Event Blueprint. Notice I said sales event. I didn't say host a party or an open house, but a sales event. All right. Thank you.